Good morning, everyone. Here is the class code. So I'd love for you to join. I can also put this link in the chat if you're joining us live, and then you will be able to join our class. And once you're in, I'm going to assign something to you. So again, the class code is right here. Feel free to pause the video if you're watching the recording and join the class. The resources will be available after today's session as well. If you're in the class, I'm going to go over to the classwork tab, and I'm first going to create a Kami assignment. So I'm just going to remind you how to create a Kami assignment. And today we're going to be talking about exit tickets, how we can see if our students are understanding the material, if they're struggling with the material, and what we can do to support our students. So to create an assignment, the first thing is I'm just going to go to my Google Drive. With Kami, you're able to pick out any resource that you have in your Google Drive. And so right here is a Google slide that I have, and this is what I'm going to assign to all of my learners. And so when I want to create an assignment, I hit create, and I click on this Kami assignment right here. Once I click create and I make it a Kami assignment, I'm going to go ahead and title this exit tickets, and I'm going to search my Google Drive. And right here is that slide deck. And you'll notice that I made everything on this slide deck. It has the text, it has all of the links, resources, all on that document. And so I'm just going to hit select. And I want to make a copy for every single student, because maybe for this case, I want every student to work individually on their different exit tickets. Sometimes I have my students work collaboratively, but for this case, I want to make a copy for every student so they get their own copy. If you ever want to do an exit ticket where students are collaborating on the same copy, that would be where they share one copy right here. And that is where students can collaborate together. So again, we're going to make a copy for each student. And I'm going to make this worth 0 points today. And I'm going to add it to our topic, exit tickets. And I'm going to go ahead and hit assign. Once it assigns to you, I would love for you to go into classwork, and you're going to click on that exit ticket activity. And again, it's under the topic exit ticket. So right here, we've got our exit ticket. I'm going to refresh, and it should be available right here. Once you click on the exit tickets, I want you to click open with Kami. So you're going to go ahead and open up that resource, and then we will get started in just a few moments. So again, you're going to go over to classwork. You're going to click on this exit ticket option right here. And then I would love for you to open it up with Kami. So I'm going to show you that student view. You're also seeing the student view if you've joined the class. So first, you're going to go to our classroom. You go over to classwork. Exit tickets is right here, and click open with Kami. Once you do that, you're going to be able to see this first page. And just a reminder that with Kami, you get free unlimited support. So if you ever need support or want to schedule a one-on-one session with me, you can do that by scheduling that right up here. But first, what I want you to do is I want you to go to page 2. What are the benefits of using exit tickets from a teacher's perspective? And what are the benefits from that student perspective? So again, what I want you to do is I just want you to come in here. You can use the text box. You could use the comments and record your voice, video, or even a screen capture. But I want you to just kind of think about what are the benefits when it comes to using exit tickets in your classroom. So maybe for the teacher, it allows me to see where every single student is. I used exit tickets almost daily in my classroom. And again, it just allowed me to kind of pause and get like a temperature check to see where every single student was. A benefit for my students was it allowed reflection. It allowed my students to reflect on the topic that they just learned, but it also allowed reflection to know if they were on target or if they didn't understand the topic. So those are my 2 benefits. Again, I'm going to just kind of give you 1 minute. And I want you to think about what are the benefits for you when it comes to using exit tickets in your classroom? And again, that was on page number 2. You're going to grab the text box and think about those benefits. All right, so time is up. So again, some of the other benefits that students can kind of, again, reflect and see how they did on a topic. Students can also be able to kind of think about, or even I've seen teachers use it as like a compare and contrast. And so one way that I like to use Kami is this is called ClassView. So because in Google Classroom, so here was my Google Classroom, we hit create and we made it a Kami assignment. Because we made it a Kami assignment, you have this button right here called ClassView. And when it comes to ClassView, I can then see how all of my students are reflecting on this topic. So it allows me to kind of get a pulse check on how they're doing on this assignment. So if I go over to my student account, it was student Stephanie. Where is it? Let's see here. We've got our T's right here. I can see how that student responded. So I was able to see how they responded, and then I can give quick feedback to my students using the add media, and I can go all the way down to the smiley face. This is stickers, and I could give my students stickers to allow them to know, hey, you're doing a great job, or oh, let's think about that again. So this is one way that I can monitor my students' exit tickets and their thinking by seeing how every single student is doing on the topic. Now, because Kami has a lot of multimedia features, there's more than one way for students to respond, okay? So for this activity, we use text. And when it came to using text, our students really were able to think about the benefits, and I was able to see by text how they responded. Text is a great way to gain reflection and have your students share where they're at in a topic. However, there's a lot more tools available to our students and to you if you add your exit tickets within Kami. So what I can do is I can have my students video. So this is kind of a choice board where my students are able to come in and they can think about different ways that they might demonstrate or share their knowledge. Typically, when it comes to choice boards, I usually don't share this with students, okay? Having this many choices, 10 different choices, can sometimes leave my students feeling overwhelmed. So typically as a teacher, I would just pick 2 of these different activities and kind of do like a this or that. So I like to keep it to 2 or 3 so my students don't have that decision fatigue. However, I want you to be able to see all of the different ways that you can have your students use Kami to demonstrate their knowledge. So first, I'm going to model all of the different ways, and then I'm going to give you some time to click and explore the tools. So the first one is students can create by video. They can go over to our comment tool, and they're able to use video comments and screen captures. Video comments allows the teacher to see the student. They're able to explain their thinking on how they just learned about landforms. The students can explain that topic all using video. Students could also screen capture. So maybe we were learning or reading about a certain chapter in a book. I could screen capture my screen, go to another tab, and explain, providing textual reasoning of why that makes sense to me. So video can be a great way for your students to quickly be able to demonstrate their knowledge. If this is a collaborative activity, again, I pushed this out so it would make a copy for every student. But if you did this collaboratively, your students can actually respond to another student by using where it says write a reply. So you can have a discussion where students are first kind of brain dumping their ideas through video, and then they can use this write a reply right here, and they're able to respond to another student. You might also have your students write. So we've already kind of explored the text box up here, but you might have students write a summary. So they might use that text box and they might type and think and add their ideas in a summary. Students might also take a picture of a product that they have. So they might go to add media, and there's this camera tool right here, and they can take a picture of their work, add it onto the screen, and then you can even have this be an additional scaffold or extension, have students use that comment tool, and they could record by voice, by video, explaining step by step how they solved whatever's on their whiteboard or their paper. So that can be a great way for students to kind of pause and think about how they're doing as well. Another thing is students might be able to use a graphic organizer. So if you go to add media, students can grab any of these graphic organizers. You can also provide a graphic organizer to your students. And maybe they do a mind map where they add in multiple different ideas about a topic. So if they are learning about habitats, or maybe they're learning about those landforms again, you can write landforms. And then in these little boxes, they might have to draw or sketch, or they might have to find images using Add Media in that Google image search. Students could also use audio or video to add their ideas in those boxes as well. You can also have your students create something. They could create their own type of presentation where they might get a blank page and they have to either sketch note or draw or explain their thinking using some type of media. And again, they're going to have all of these tools to support their learning. Students might also interview another student. So they could use the voice comment tool, and they can record their conversation, interviewing each other about what they just learned about when it comes to rating Hatchet. They could kind of, maybe one student pretends to be the character and the other student is one that is just a student that read it. They can question each other and have kind of an interview back and forth, reflecting on their learning. They could also create step-by-step instructions, maybe using video or audio, or even using Add Media where they could take pictures of how to solve fractions step by step. So again, there's multiple different ways. Students could also create different quizzes using the text box, maybe even using the shapes tool to create those little boxes, or creating their knowledge. And then there is the drawing tool as well, where students can draw their learning, and they could sketch about what they just learned about. So again, there's multiple different ways for students to demonstrate their learning. So what I want you to do now is I want you to just kind of think about how you might allow your students to use multimedia in order for them to demonstrate their learning. So I'm going to just set a timer for about 3 minutes. And I'm just going to give you some time to explore those tools. If you have questions, let me know in the chat. I'm happy to pause and go over any of those questions. But we're just going to go ahead and, again, 3 minutes. You get to click, you get to explore those different tools. And if you have questions, let me know. You can just add your graphic organizers onto your page. You can type, you can practice taking a picture, but go ahead and just take some time to practice using those tools. All right, time is up. Are there any questions before we view some other ways that we can use exit tickets in our classroom? So again, any questions?
I just like the ability for teachers to check what their kids got in their lesson and just have that either reassurance or that ability to go back and revisit some items. So I think this is a great way to do that.
Yeah, and again, here I was able to come in and see how everybody was doing on adding different things onto their board. So a teacher gets that immediate feedback right away as students are working. So as I was adding in video, as I was adding in the graphic organizer, I can see that students thinking live on the screen, which is really cool. Okay. And again, with that choice board, I would not give all the options. I would only pick about 2 to 3 because again, sometimes students get decision fatigue when we give them all 10. So think about how you might use just a few of them in your classroom. Okay, so just some quick fire ideas. We've got thin slides. So thin slides is an Edu protocol. This activity I would use as a collaborative document. So for this activity, how I would assign this to my students is a little bit different, okay? Because I want all of my students to be on the same document thinking about their learning. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive and I'm going to find that thin slides activity. So right here. And typically what I do is, again, I like to make this in Google Slides. And I'm going to make a copy of just this thin slide. And with this, I just need to know who is in my class. So typically for classroom management reasons, I would type in my students' names. Okay, so I would type in all of my students' names right here on this document, and then you can duplicate it as many times as you need to. But that way my students know where to respond at on the document. So that again can be one tip when you're working on a collaborative activity using Kami is you might want to come in, type your students' names first. And what's great about this activity is you can rinse and repeat it. So because I've added my students once, I have this in a Google slide and I can assign this as many times as I want to. Okay, so I have my template right here. I could change this question if I wanted to, but I'm going to have you guys think about what is one way that we could incorporate any of the Kami features into a lesson plan. Okay, so what's one way we could incorporate? I'm going to change this to the Kami features into your current lesson plans. One word and one image. So now that I've got my template all set, I'm going to go to my Google Classroom and hit this create. I'm going to create it as a Kami assignment again. However, this time when I add it from my Google Drive, I'm going to click that thin slides activity. And this time I want to make a copy that is shareable. So students share one copy. And I'm going to call this thin slides. And I'm going to go ahead and do just 1 point, we'll say, and then I'll do it under my exit ticket topic. And you can assign it to multiple classes if you need to. You can also just assign it to certain students. However, everybody's going to get this activity, and I'm going to go ahead and hit that assign. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our Google Classroom. Leave this tab up, though, because we're still going to need this slide deck. But now when we go into our Google Classroom, we're going to see this thin slides activity right here. And we're going to hit open with Kami. And this time when we open this activity, everybody's going to be on the collaborative document. Okay. So when we open up this activity, it's not just you on the document. Okay. So if I click over here, I can see that Matt has joined and I'm able to see all of the students who have joined this thin slides. Students are going to find their box, and what they have to do is they have to come up with one word and one image. So if I was using this activity for maybe landforms or the theme of the story, my students would have to come in and find one image of a landform and add one word to it. So again, my students would come in, they would search for that one word and one image. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about what's one way that you can incorporate those Kami features. So we really kind of focused that when we were on this page. You saw a lot of those Kami tools. What are you thinking about to use in your own classroom? Okay, so you only have to come up with one word and one image. So for me, I might have my students make videos. Okay, so I could come into add media. You could do a Google image search and I could add in video. Okay, and I might just grab this image right here and insert it. There's my one image. And then you're going to grab the text box and add in your one word. So instead of writing video, I might have my students, I might kind of say my one word or one phrase is I want my students to share, right? That might be my one word. Okay, so for my upcoming lesson plan, I'm going to have them share using video. So I want you to kind of think about which tool would you maybe use in your classroom. And so again, add media is a great way to add photos. You can add from your computer. You can also use the camera tool and find a photo or take a photo of you. You can use your Google Drive to find images. You could use the Google image search. You can add in YouTube videos. There's also graphic organizers. So maybe you're like, oh, I want my students to share or to demonstrate their learning by using graphic organizers. So go ahead and add your one word and one image onto the document. So I'm going to do this graphic organizer right here. And then you'll grab the text box and add your one word. You can change the font, you can change the colors. Typically, when it comes to thin slides, I have my students have about 2 minutes. This whole activity takes less than 10 minutes once your students get used to it. So I like to rinse and repeat this exit ticket. You can also do this as an entrance ticket if you want to gain the prior knowledge from your students, but this is a really great exit ticket as well. They come up with one word and one image to explain their thinking. And so again, we can see all of our students thinking coming on to this. I can see what Dee just added in her box. If I hover over this box, if I want to make sure it's Dee responding, I can hover over and I'm able to see that, oh yes, it is Dee, right? I can see if a student put their answer in the wrong box by just quickly hovering over. Okay, Matt did put it in the right box. So that is a tip. Another great thing when it comes to collaboration is your students can't move or delete each other. So I'm going to join from another account. And this account is not a teacher. So let's go ahead and sign in as my student. And one thing that bothered me with my own students is that when we did collaborative activities, they would delete each other's work. However, right here, if I have my students compare and they come over here to D's, there's no trash can. They can't move or delete that answer. Okay, they can't move or delete Stephanie's answer. They're only able to take maybe my drawing tool and they're only able to delete their own answer. Okay, so that is huge when it comes to exit tickets because your students are going to be able to share their ideas and their thoughts without feeling like they can't, without them having things deleted off their page or you having students delete each other. But however, as a teacher, so I'm going to log in back as my teacher, I can come in here and I can delete any of these images or words that I might need to off of my students' screens. Okay. Any questions about this type of activity using collaboration? Awesome. Okay, so with this solve and compare, sometimes I might have my students compare their notes, their partner's notes, and then what they both said in the middle. That can be a great exit ticket as well. Okay, so if we're going back to our document, we just kind of explored that thin slides template right here. There's also this exit ticket. It's called Glow and Grow. Students write down a glow, something that they're excited about and something that they're going to grow in. This works really great if you have students really focusing at the end of a unit Okay, or at the end of the day, this is something I want to glow about. This is something I'm excited about. And this is something I want to grow in. So again, that exit ticket can be another great way. This next one where there's different check-ins, you can have your students do this all at one time, or you can use it throughout a week. So I can have my students continuously coming back to this check-in, where first I just want you to color in how are you doing in this session? Are you like, okay, I'm with Stephanie, or no, I'm a little lost. So I want you to grab the highlighter, the markup tool, and you can highlight how you're doing in that quick check-in. So again, on page number 6, I'm going to grab the markup tool. Let me know, are you with me, or are you like, oh, I am not with you today? So again, for this one, I can give it to my students all at one time, or I can give it to them throughout the week. If you want to give it to them throughout the week, what I like to do is I like to use something called update work. And so what update work is when I come in here to my classroom, here's my teacher's screen. I am able to click on this green button right here, and it takes me to the template file. So again, it's this green button. Now it turned purple, but this takes you into the template file. And so what I can do is I'm able to assign something to my students. And let's say they're not getting it, right? I can see that my students are not getting the concept, or for this activity down here, I want to hide some of the activities. I don't want them to draw a picture yet. So I can have them use the shape tool. So I can use that shape tool, click on the rectangle, and I can actually fill this shape. And what happens when I fill this shape and up here, I hit update all, update. What's going to happen when I go into my students page is once it uploads, so it's still thinking, all of those shapes are right here. My students can't remove these shapes off of their screen. So I can say, okay, for Monday, I want you to do this check-in box. Okay, Tuesday's coming, right? Today's Tuesday. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to come into that select tool. I go in from class view and I click on that little toggle next to my initials, and it takes me into that template file. From here, I can delete this shape and hit update all, update. Now my students come up with a hashtag. So they think about something summarizing what they just learned. So for today, my hashtag might be formative learning. So I can grab the text box, add that hashtag in, and students are able to kind of come in and slowly complete this activity. The next day comes and you can reveal again. So again, in class view, you're going to have this green little toggle and it will take you to that template file. Every time you update it, your students are going to get those updates. That feature works really great when it comes to digital notebooks. It also comes great if you notice your students are struggling. So maybe we have students that are struggling with a topic. I'm able to see that information from the exit ticket or from the learning. I can actually come in here to add media, YouTube, open up YouTube and find a YouTube video to support my students. So I can do like sketchnoting. And I can grab this video because my students don't know what sketchnoting is. Enter, and I can insert this video right here to help them with whatever topic we're learning about. Hit update all, update. And what's going to happen is my students are going to get whatever I add onto the document. So again, once it updates, it's going to take away that shape. And now that video is added not to just my student, but it should also be on your page as well. So if I look on my page, now when I go back down, I have that shape removed and all of my students have that video on their screen. Okay. Any questions about that?
Hey, Stephanie,
Yeah.
Is each student able to play that video?
Yeah, so every student is able to play that video individually, and then they can put their headphones on.
Okay, so
The play button's towards the bottom, and you can also click on this little guy, the square, and it will make it large if they need it full screen.
am I doing something wrong, or the play button on the bottom left? Okay. For some reason I can't get that to work. By clicking on it,
It's not working.
and so I have the select tool. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, make sure you select tool for sure.
All I'm getting is the multi-directional arrow.
Yeah, it should be this one.
The finger. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yep. It's not.
It's not wanting to work.
Now, if I click on the video itself, it'll play.
Okay.
The play button just.
Huh.
It could
Okay.
be me. Just want to point that out.
I was like, mine is working. Another thing you can try is refreshing and see if that works.
Okay.
But yeah, let me know if it's not, because then we can definitely check that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, there's tons of templates in this resource. If you are wanting to test out exit tickets in your classroom, I am going to add all of the slide templates. So if you want to reuse any of these templates, you can just make a copy of this slide deck and you can duplicate, delete, customize whatever you want to try in your classroom. So again, I'll go ahead and copy that. And then I'm going to go back into our page. And I'm going to hit that green button, go into that template file. And right here, I'm going to hit comment, and I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to paste this slide deck up here and hit update all. And now each of you should be getting this comment on page number 1 with all of the resources if you want to use any of these exit tickets in your classroom. Okay. So again, if you have questions, let me know. My information is on page number 1. But looking forward to supporting you and try out using exit tickets in your classroom with Kami to see if you can make sure that your students are understanding the content and the materials. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie, for your time, your effort, and everything.